In order to make your first YouTube video, there are about 4 things that you have to have, like absolute necessities. The first one is a camera. You probably anticipated that, right? Well, it could look like this, it could look like this, but whatever it looks like, you gotta have some kind of camera. The second thing you need is a subject, aka something to film, aka probably you. Thing number 3 that you have to have is a place to film. It doesn't have to be fancy. I filmed a lot of videos against a blank wall, but you do need to have some place to film. And for best results, I'd recommend that it's relatively simple and free of clutter. And finally, the 4th thing that you have to have is light. This could be natural light from a window, it could be a ring light, it could be a lamp from your house, it could be softbox, but whatever it is, you have to have some sort of light because we won't be able to see if you don't have light. And generally, the more light you can have, the better. Now, beyond those 4 things that you have to have, there are also a couple things that would be really nice to have. One of those things is something to hold said camera, like a tripod. I got this one right here at Walmart for $13.83. So tripods don't have to be expensive. Yes, it's lightweight. No, I would not exactly recommend it, but it gets the job done. My camera's sitting on it right now. Another thing that is really good to have is soft stuff, like a pillow, to absorb echo and improve your sound quality. And one more thing that's not necessary but really nice to have is some sort of external microphone. You can get a little one like this that can attach on top of your camera or on top of your phone, or you can use a lapel mic that will clip onto your shirt, or if you want to get really fancy, you can get a mic and put it on a boom pole that hangs over your head like this. The first step of filming your first video is to sit down and write a plan. This is actually one of the most important parts of the process and will have a bigger impact on your final video quality than almost anything else. Writing your plan is actually more important than even your camera quality. When you write your plan, I'd recommend that you both outline the content of the video, so what the video is actually about, what you're gonna say in the video, and you also outline the production of the video. So what different shots do you want to include in your video to illustrate what you're talking about? What do you actually want to have happen in your video? The next step is to get yourself did up. The fact is that you will feel more confident on camera if you feel like you are looking your best. So do whatever will make you feel good about how you look. Maybe it's putting on a nice outfit, putting on a little makeup, doing your hair, whatever it is, do it so that you feel confident on camera and to improve the visual quality of your video. Once you're all ready to film, then it's time to set up your filming equipment. That means maybe your tripod, your camera, your lights, your microphone if you're using one, and then it's time to frame your shots. You've got that camera sitting on that tripod, or you're setting it on a table or a bookshelf or whatever you're doing, but you need to actually look through the viewfinder of the camera or look at your camera screen and see what people are going to see when they're watching your video. What does that shot look like? Is there a way that you could frame it more interestingly or in a more balanced way? Don't just point your camera at the subject and shoot, actually think about the composition of your shot. Now, as you frame your shots, you might notice a bit of clutter in them. I would highly recommend that you take a minute to clean up a little, or maybe a lot, so that there isn't any distracting clutter in them. Then it's finally time for the most obvious part of the process, which is you need to sit down and actually talk to the camera. Now, of course, there's lots of different ways you could do this. You can do what I'm doing right here, just sitting and talking directly to the camera, and then I've added in these different extra shots called B-roll, or you could just talk directly to the camera the whole time, or you could compose your video entirely of these extra shots and just record a voiceover that people will hear while they watch the visual aspect of the video. But if this is your first video, I'd recommend you go for simple. I'd recommend that you talk to the camera for most of the video and then maybe add in a couple extra shots, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Once you're done talking to the camera, then it's time to move on to the next step, which is to get some extra shots. I always recommend that even when you're first starting out, you take just a few extra minutes to get some extra shots, because once you've already done all the work of setting up, you've tidied your space, you've gotten yourself looking nice, you've set up your camera and your lights, it only takes a few more minutes to take a few extra shots that you can use to make your videos more dynamic and more interesting to watch. Once you've finished filming everything for your video, then it's time to edit your footage. Now, on the extremely simple end of the spectrum here, all you need to do is cut out any mistakes or any pauses. If you want to make it a little bit more complex, then you might add in some of those extra shots that you took to make it more interesting. to make it more interesting. And then finally, you could consider adding in a little bit of music or some text graphics. However, I would caution you to be very sparing with adding extra things to your video. The best editing is generally the simplest editing. No fancy transitions, no elaborate graphics, just keeping it clean and making it easy and enjoyable to watch. If you're not sure what program to use to edit your videos, then check below for some links to a few different options that I recommend. There's even a couple that are free. Once the video is edited to your satisfaction, then you can export the video and then upload it to YouTube. The final step of this process is to not expect too much. Now, don't get me wrong, making YouTube videos is an amazing opportunity. It's changed my life in so many ways, but this is your first video. And very rarely do people's first videos completely hit it out of the park. Most of the time, first videos have a few issues, or a lot of issues. Most of us who make YouTube videos cringe looking back at our old videos. We wonder how we could possibly have been so awkward, why couldn't we figure out where to put our lights, and didn't we know that the camera had an autofocus feature? But that's okay, because making your first video is just part of the process, it's part of the learning, and it's the only way that you can move on to making your second and third and eventually 100th video, which I promise will be much, much better than your first one. So once you've made your first video, upload it to YouTube and just don't expect too much. It's your first video, things will get better, and as they get better, more and more people will find your channel. This is a learning experience. Well, that's pretty much it. That covers everything that you need to have and do to make your first YouTube video. If you do in fact follow these steps and you are starting your YouTube channel from the beginning, then I have a little something that can help you out. I put together a checklist of everything I wish I had done when I first started my channel. I call it the Channel Launch Checklist, and it will walk you through everything you need to do when you first start your channel if you want your channel to have the best shot at success that it can. The checklist is completely free, and there's a link down below where you can download it right now. If you enjoyed this video and you aren't already subscribed to my channel, then consider doing that now. You can just click that red button below so that you don't miss my next video. I make 2 videos here on YouTube every single week, all about entrepreneurship, success, and personal development, and I would love to have you join me for the next one. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic week, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.
You're a rebel, getting into trouble.